My name is David Trimble, and I serve as the president of the Religious Freedom Institute. We're here at the International Religious Freedom Summit in Washington, D.C., an annual gathering this year of about 1,800 people from all over the world coming together that are committed to addressing the problem of religious persecution around the world. And I have the distinct honor of spending some time here, just a few minutes this morning, with Brian Swarts, the director of Pepperdine University's DC program. So located right here in our nation's capital. And I know you have undergraduates and sometimes graduate students as well in your DC campus. So Brian, I want to start there. I want to welcome you and say glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm the director of Pepperdine's DC program, which we've had here for over a decade, and even longer we've had a campus for over a decade, and it's been an expanding program. It's a few blocks from the White House. We welcome undergraduates, we welcome some law students. We now started welcoming more public policy students as well. It's a robust program where students come to DC to sort of learn about issues like international religious freedom, public service, engaging in all sectors of society, and DC in internships, as well as taking courses in everything from American history to international relations to things on say like culture and religion here in the United States.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, just in the past year and a half, I'm learning more about your DC program. About how many students each year do you have come through your DC program?
Yeah, each year we have at least, I would say, somewhere between 75 and 80 students coming through the DC program throughout our different programs. That includes like our school year programs, as well as our summer programs that we do in DC.
Right. Well, the last few semesters we've had the distinct honor of having interns and different students from Pepperdine already in our programs at the Religious Freedom Institute. And I just want you to know that they've already proven to be some of the top students that are coming in and doing research and really bringing fresh ideas and fresh eyes to our programs at the Religious Freedom Institute.
Thank you. Yeah, I know in speaking with some of our students that have done internships at RFI, they've appreciated the chance to not only work with a team of very experienced and smart and committed people, but they've had a chance to really feel like they've made an impact in the area, whether that's working on amicus briefs or helping with events or just analyzing issues and learning about what's going on with religious freedom in the U.S. and abroad.
Right.
And now I know it's drawing even more students in. I spoke with a student yesterday who's planning to intern there this summer and is very excited about how that will open up opportunities for her and really shape what she thinks about for her future career.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, you know that the Religious Freedom Institute and Pepperdine University has forged a strong, robust partnership that went into place last September. And so we're moving ahead with some big plans of really collaborating very closely, not just with student involvement, but programs in the U.S., even out on your main campus in Malibu, and then around the world doing work together. In fact, in today's breakfast here at the International Religious Freedom Summit, we announced a partnership endeavor that in June of this year we will undertake the International Religious Freedom Summit in Africa. So we're looking forward to that. So I'm just wondering, through your lens as director of the DC program, and this partnership, what opportunities do you see kind of moving forward, how we can strengthen each other's work, really in public policy and in religious freedom?
Yeah, so I think, this partnership and what's going on both here in DC as well as like what you're planning in Africa are really at the heart of like what I really see as the value of our DC campus for Pepperdine. Is that we can form these types of partnerships that tap into like our students' growth and development as not only students of faith themselves, oftentimes people who care deeply about their faith, but also very engaged both in service and global kind of interests. I worked for many years actually with faith-based organizations in Africa, and so can see the huge value of a summit like this. part of our goal in bringing students to DC is showing them the connections between their own, culture and history and their own sort of national identity, as well as kind of how DC engages internationally and has the U.S. and U.S. students can have an influence internationally. So being able to bring the Christian mission and the faith mission of our university together with sort of the international goals of religious freedom is, I think, just a powerful statement about like what our position in DC and as a university can accomplish through partnerships like this.
Yeah. Well, we're excited about it, and hopefully maybe even some of your students could get involved in the IRF Summit Africa.
Yeah, I certainly think there would be a strong interest in that. We have students who already participate through other programs at Pepperdine in Uganda and other parts of Africa, both undergraduates as well as I know law students, I think some policy students and others. And so I would welcome that opportunity just because I think there's such a need for our students to be engaged in these types of activities and programs and understanding the world in this way and knowing how we're also interconnected as people of faith, but also as potential policymakers, leaders, and decision makers in society.
Right. Well, Brian, I wanted to ask you one final question that kind of focuses in on some of your own personal interest from an academic perspective. Mm-hmm. And I know in a brief conversation before you shared with me how you're doing some really integral research, detailed research in U.S. foreign assistance. So that really ties into foreign policy and funding initiatives overseas. And so describe for us what you're doing in that research and what you're hoping to accomplish.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I've had a real strong interest in the work that faith-based organizations do in terms of social service, both in the U.S. and internationally. When I was a Pepperdine student myself years ago, I studied religion with the intention that I wanted to work with faith-based organizations in serving marginalized communities. And so that brought me to work for several decades, or several years, over a decade, with different organizations such as the Salvation Army, doing foreign assistance, doing humanitarian work, doing work through churches, through hospitals, other places. And through that work, I recognized that so much of the assistance that happens, especially in the most marginalized communities and the most kind of fragile environments, is done by faith-based organizations. Yeah. And so I've always had an interest in how faith-based organizations can be more engaged in decision-making around how that work is done, how they engage with governments, whether that's local governments, especially the U.S. government, in shaping how we go about doing foreign assistance. And so I've been doing some research on how those faith-based organizations have worked with the U.S. government in the past. Like PEPFAR is a huge success story for many faith-based organizations. Right. They were on the forefront of HIV and AIDS work in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa especially. And so I'm interested in seeing how they can build on those successes, strengthen their work, and really help emphasize to government officials, even UN, international officials, the critical role that faith can play in, making people's lives better, and increasing prosperity, increasing social welfare, resilience, all those things that are critical to humanitarian and foreign assistance.
Well, the timing could not be better for that type of research, and I want to thank you personally for doing it. As an organization, we're going to be watching and looking for that research because that's the kind of thing that we need and we would use to help shape policy recommendations for the current administration and for other countries and parliamentarians and government leaders we work with around the world. So we look forward to your research, Brian.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. Thank you.
Brian, thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. Thank you for your work in the DC program, and we look forward to this burgeoning partnership with Pepperdine and working with you more closely.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.